Are you ready, kids? Okay, let's make some mud. We're going to be using some oil paint. We got some yellow ochre and some burnt umber. These are pretty much staples in any oil paint kit that I've ever seen. So we're going to use I'm going to use a good one. We're going to use a 2-to-1 mixture. So we're going to use 2 parts of the yellow ochre to 1 part of the burnt umber. That'll give us a nice tan color. Sort of like this here. So let's go ahead and get started, and this is how I like to do it. We're just going to eyeball it through the camera here. Good. So there's 1 bit, and then and then here's 2 bits, and I call that 2 parts right there. So we're going to close that up so it doesn't get stepped on and squirted out all over the place by accident. No, I don't know what I'm talking about when I come to that. And then here's our burnt umber, and we're going to use that, just 1 part of that, about like that. Okay, and then we're going to add a few drops of oh, that's kind of dirty looking. Oops. A few drops of odorless paint thinners. That the ratio on that, it's personal preference, because depending on how you want your mixture, it can be super soupy or it can be nice and thick, and both have their advantages when doing this type of thing. If you have a soupy mixture where it's very, very thin, that's going to help you bring out detail. And if you have a thick mixture, of course, that's going to hide the detail. So we want to be careful how we do that. And this is a very nice mixture here. A little bit of streaking going on, so we want to get this mixed in some more. All right, so can we see what our mixture's kind of like there? Can I liken this to something? No, not really, not without disgusting myself. But that's actually a really good mixture. So we want to add a little bit of texture to that. And that's where our friend Mr. Cornmeal comes in, and we're going to use one of our little stir sticks here, our coffee stir sticks, and then like that. Just like how they kind of paddle out cocaine in the old 1980 movies, okay? There you go. So a couple of little dabs of that. Got that in there nice and, whoops, sorry about that. Bumped the camera. All right, now we'll get some more paint down in there. Now, you hear the texture? Yeah, that's pretty nice. All right, so let's see if we can show you on the brush how it looks. Yep, that's pretty nasty looking. That's perfect. Okay, so if I wanted this thicker, I would add in a little bit of cornstarch, and again, that technique is I'm going to say this. Don't use the stuff you're going to be cooking with later on in the evening. That is a bad idea. If you're going to use this process, use stuff and just put it out in the garage and never, have it set aside specifically for this usage. All right, so here's our cornstarch, and tap that in like that, and then we'll give it a stir. And the cornstarch actually does slightly lighten the color a little bit. There we go. All right, now it's getting pasty. Look at that. And the cornstarch allows us to make this a little bit thicker so we can make it do as we choose. We can put it someplace and it'll stay there. Okay, if that makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. So let's get on with the painting process. All right, let's get this in frame. Perfect. There we go. Okay, cool. So with our newly mixed mud, we're going to go over a few areas here. You see where it's kind of reddish, is kind of a reddish brown through here. That was a little bit of a darker mixture that we had used, where we did more of a 1-to-1 mixture like this. And what's cool about this mixture is this actually looks more like the mud is a little bit more on the wet side. This mixture makes it look like the mud is much more dried, closer to actually being dirt again. So through this boom area here, I did streak it with the darker stuff. So now we're going to go back on some of the points on the sharper edges, and just kind of brush this on over the darker. Oops, that's not attached very well. Well, what do you know about that? Oh, Brian made a mistake. That's okay. Brian does that all the time. There we go. I'm just going to brush that on, and then we're just going to get a little bit more, and then we're going to streak. Not literally, you know, figuratively. There we go. It's not that kind of a show. There we is. Okay. And then back in here it's a little bit dark, so we're going to just brush in on a little bit of the lighter stuff. It's a little bit clogged up here and there. There we go. So what's funny about this process is that we've done all that we can see, and now I have to go underneath and do the bottom because I forgot to do that. So we're going to brush on a little bit here and there, back up and into the blade supports, and let's see here. Can we get a good view of? There's a little linchpin right down in here that we're going to goober up. So let's see how we do that. There we go. Got more neighbors being jerks today. Alright. So we're just going to slather that on there nice and good. And then now I need to drag it down, so we'll just push it down for these areas in here. I'm not on camera. Apologies. There we go. And here we go. There we go. All right, let's see if we can't get a closer look at what's going on back in there. There we go. So that's making it look nice and dirty. And of course, this tanner mixture, the 2-to-1 mixture, once that dries fully, it's going to look just like this area up here. Okay. So that's pretty much our trick to everything. We got a little bit of a wetter looking mud up here, and we'll just dry brush over that quite literally. There we go. Thin that out a little bit. And here's our oil tank where we mashed in more of the mixture to hide that seam and to give it more of a muddy look and everything. Now, what's really cool about this process is once it's fully dry, we can go back with a little bit of a towel or rag and brush off areas that might be a little bit too built up or whatever. And I'm looking forward to that process because that really gives us an overall view of how well this is doing. So that's one of my favorite parts of the process. So there we go. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in again, and we're going to get back to making some more mud here. Y'all take it easy now. Bye now.